this is Amanda. I'm coming from the New Media Lab with the English 102 students. I'm here with also Amanda, so it's like Amanda squared, Donna, and Owen. Today we're going to be talking about mental wellness and what that means to us. So starting off, real simple, we're just going to talk about how we define mental wellness, because that can look different for each person, right? So Owen, would you like to start? What does mental wellness mean for you?
I think mental wellness is like being able to be very like emotionally stable and being able to like control your emotions even in like more difficult times and like knowing how to take care of yourself during those times. And so, yeah, I think that's how I describe it, at least for me.
Yeah, that's a good description. I would add to that, just from my experience, that learning to manage it does not mean not having emotions. I think that's a common misconception. Can you agree with that?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think, okay, being strong means never crying, never getting angry, being this stoic, stalwart person all the time. And I don't think that that is a reasonable expectation for anyone to have on themselves, because we are humans and we do have these complex emotions and feelings. And I think the important takeaway for me is knowing how to regulate them in a positive way. How about you, Donna?
How to define mental wellness?
Yes.
I wouldn't use the word wellness, but if I wouldn't know like what other word to use other than illness, mental illness. That's all I've heard my whole life. Like people have talked towards me like, "Oh, you have a mental illness." No one has ever said like, "Oh, there's also mental wellness." How does that work?
Do you think that the terminology we use is affecting how people perceive mental wellness or mental illness?
Yes, very much it does. Like I feel like what I've been told, not I have some sort of illness and I feel perfectly fine. Like I'm not like lost or something. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm in school. I'm doing
Amazing.
yeah.
You're doing amazing.
I'm doing amazing. I have a nursing major. Like I've never thought of myself like, oh, you have an illness. Like
I always wondered if it's possible that maybe we all have some sort of mental challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on a spectrum. Maybe it's not about mental illness per se. Maybe we just experience these things on a spectrum, and some people experience them on the opposite end of the spectrum. But I think it's fair to say that a lot of people in our society haven't really thought of it in the sense of mental wellness. Like, how can I find that balance? How can I find that place that allows us to function at our optimal mental level? And I think that's going to look different for every person
Yeah.
too.
I feel like mental health is in everyone in some sort of way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always literally boggled my mind, how people can't understand that our brain's part of our bodies. You know,
Yeah.
that's part of us. So our mental health is part of us. And everybody's going to face challenges, and we are human. So we're going to have very physical reactions, you know, to stimuli and to things that happen to us. And we don't learn how to cope with it. We never learn how to cope with grief or how to cope with betrayal or heartbreak or
Yeah, it isn't something to be ashamed of either.
right.
It's perfectly normal. Like,
Yeah.
we all go through the same things differently, but it's
Yeah.
mostly all the same things.
Yeah. Other Amanda, what does mental wellness mean to you?
I think it's being in a good state and like being able to take care of yourself and like understanding what's wrong.
How do you know you're in a good state? What's different for you than when you're, say, having a challenging day?
Like if you're having like a bad day, maybe you don't want to follow your routine. Like it can be hard. So I think having like mental wellness is being able to follow it.
I love that you said that, because I have a history of depression, very severe depression. But when I started making these changes and I started moving in the right direction, I saw the day ahead of me, kind of like a video game, and that's the nerd in me. But I saw it like a video game where, okay, there's going to be challenges. I'm going to have to fight these bad guys. I'm going to have to collect these items. I think that once I could start seeing it as a game, I could start seeing it as a challenge instead of seeing it as this insurmountable thing. That was when I realized that I was finding that strength again. So, who is your go to person, if you have a go to person, when you are struggling, you're having a bad day, you're feeling like you don't want to get out of bed, you need somebody to motivate you? Who is your go to person, Owen?
Um,
And it's okay if you don't have a go to person. Some of us just don't have go to people.
well, recently it's been more of my brothers. It recently it's been more of my brothers, to be honest. Um, I felt like generally I've been pretty good about like managing my emotions by myself, but I think when my brain's just like scrambling and then I can't seem to just figure something out, my brain's just going and going and going, and I just can't like seem to stop. Like whenever I talk to my brothers, or just like whenever I usually just call one of my friends, and then I usually just call a friend, and I don't even need to be talking. I just like the company of my brothers. Like I could just stay there in silence and just be like, okay, I don't like company is all I need. I don't need to.
Just knowing that somebody's there and somebody cares sometimes
Yeah,
makes all the difference.
it's just like the company's there enough for me to be like, okay, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna just chillax, man. Just chillax. Take a step back. Try to figure out why you're feeling this way, and then go from there. See if you could figure something out, or find a better alternative to, why you're feeling this way,
Yeah.
brothers. Yeah.
Donna, who's your go to person?
Well, it really depends on what I'm gonna be talking about. Like, if it's about like a mental health thing, if I want to tell her something like, oh, I have this going on or like this, I cannot do that. I'd have to go to my brother, which you would understand because I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but in my family, Hispanic, they don't believe in mental anything. So I'd go to my brother and like let it out. He would do the same. Like we understand each other, but
What
it
do you
really
think it
depends.
is that is causing that cultural stigma?
I really don't know. I just think they don't want us to be weak. When I say it, it's not even something that would make us weak. It's just an obstacle.
Right. It makes you stronger when you can
Yeah,
show that you can
exactly.
overcome that obstacle, in my opinion. But
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like, but yeah, if it's on, if it just really depends on what I'm trying to let out. It depends on the go-to person. Like, it depends on that who I go to.
yeah, that's fair. Amanda, who's your go to person?
My go-to person is my mom. She's a psychologist, so she kind of understands, but like how she said, like before my mom was like into this type of stuff, she didn't really believe in like the mental health stuff, like the depression and stuff. And then as she started learning, she understood like what was going on with me. And she's my mom, but she's like kind of like my therapist sometimes. Cause like now she understands like the brain and like me, and she's usually there for me. Like I feel like she's only because I can talk to my friends, but I think it's better to talk to my mom because like I trust her a lot and I'm really close to her.
Yeah. I want to circle back around when you were talking about depression. I want to kind of circle back to the beginning. We were talking about mental wellness. We were talking about what it feels like when we're having a good day. I don't think we really touched on what it truly feels like when you're having a bad day. So, what does depression feel or look like? So, for example, for me, I struggle with racing thoughts and intrusive thoughts a lot. So, I always have 100 tabs open in my head, and some are in Japanese. And for the record, I don't speak Japanese. So some of them are in Japanese. There's music playing on different tabs. I can't find where it's out to close it, and it can get very frustrating. But when depression symptoms kick in, it feels like my brain turned on me. It literally feels like the voices in my head, and I don't actually hear voices on a schizophrenia level, but that inner dialogue turned on me. And I start accepting all of that as absolute truth. So when it's saying you're a bad person, you're a failure as a mom, you're going to fail that test, I just accept all this without challenging it. So I become very hopeless. I can feel the weight in my chest. I feel just like there's nothing I could ever possibly do to be good enough or to move forward. And it does start coming off as very physical because I become lethargic. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I'm unmotivated. What does depression symptoms feel like for you? We'll start with Dawn at this time.
Well, when I actually did have depression, when I had that, I noticed it a lot. I couldn't get up from my bed. I just wanted to stay in my bed all day. I felt like 100-ton weight just on my bed. I didn't want to get up. No motivation at all. My room was like not tidy at all. Like everything was just a mess. Just like in my head.
Yeah.
My room looked like my head. Like it's a visual representation. But when I noticed that I started being more like not as depressed was when I started like actually getting up and like looking in the mirror, like taking care of myself. I'm like, wow, I'm actually like up doing stuff, taking care of myself, fixing my hair, all that stuff.
When you first started doing that, so when you went from I'm feeling depressed, my room's a mess, my head's a mess, and then you started, getting up and stuff. Was there a point where you had to say, I still feel like crap, but I'm going to take one step right now to
Yeah.
try to feel better?
Yeah, I actually I couldn't just give up because I felt like my brothers needed me a lot, so I need to pick myself up. I'm the oldest. I can't be like this. I need to start doing something 'cause
Yeah,
I
I
don't want
love
to feel
that.
like I don't want to feel like I'm useless. I'm just all day laying down doing nothing.
And people don't realize that all it takes is that one step in the right direction is forward movement.
Yeah.
That's what I remind people frequently is you only have to take one step. And when I was struggling, everything seemed monumental, absolutely everything. All I have to do today is take out the trash. And my brain is going, it's too much. Oh my God, how am I ever
Yeah.
going to do this? And it's, okay, all I have to do right now is stand up. And then all I have to do is watch the trash can. I had to break things down into steps, but it was just taking that one step. And then once you kind of start getting that momentum,
It starts with little steps.
yep, yeah, it starts becoming easier. What about you, Amanda? What does depression look and feel like? How does that show up for you?
I think for me it's not wanting to go on with my day, just wanting to sleep all day and not wanting to do like my routine, like getting up, washing my face, getting ready. Um it's just like mostly sleeping, and like not cleaning my room and stuff and not going outside.
What about you, Owen?
Um, Usually I could see myself having those symptoms like during like around like finals time because that's when like the stress comes in like
Yep.
that. And then usually I could see myself in that in during finals time and uh to be honest, when I could recall that, I don't know, probably just sitting in my room and just telling myself like I need to like succeed and need to like provide either way.
So you pep talk yourself. I like it.
Yeah,
Your brain was working in your favor.
yeah, I mean, I try and it's like yeah, I know there's a certain point in my life where I would have no thoughts like that and it was I was at like an all-time low or at least especially during finals. I usually just like kind of shut down and I'm just like I don't care to try at anything but school.
Yeah.
So,
Stress can start morphing into anxiety and depression symptoms if you're not careful to manage it. I did want to ask, do you think that academic research can be a positive source to be able to better our mental wellness, to be able to improve our mental wellness? And if so, how? Amanda, what do you think? How do you think we can use academic research for our mental wellness?
I think maybe if someone's dealing with something, they can look into it, like kind of use it as therapy, kind of, and they can like figure out, like, oh, maybe this is why I'm like this. And
Oh, this is excellent. I love that so much. For me, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And when I started researching that and learning what that meant, and I could start saying, okay, this behavior that's happening is because of this disorder. Now, how do I manage that? And I could look into the different treatments and skills and things like that. That was such a powerful moment for me. And I think that that's an excellent point of being able to utilize the research from reliable sources to learn more about our illness, or even not illness, but our diagnosis and the diagnosis of our loved ones, right? So we know now more what they're going through, so we know more about how we can help them. What do you think, Owen?
Well, I think you're right on. I really liked what you said about like about finding out that you had a borderline personality disorder. Because I remember I literally did this last semester where I was like, man, what is like my mind the past couple weeks? I've just been like in a very bad state, and I'm like, what is going on? I remember I literally looked up like, why am I feeling this way? And I remember I literally looked up why am I feeling this way and like what to look out for, and like it gave me an answer. Um, I can't remember if it was like an appropriate answer or like what I was looking for, but it gave me a lot of perspective on to look at it in a different way at least. I think that's the value of the academic research.
Yeah.
Could really build off your critical thinking skills off of that.
And I think by strengthening our critical thinking skills, it gives us the ability to challenge those thoughts in our heads. So I call those dark thoughts my shadow. So when my shadow kicks up, I almost have to just imagine that there's a courtroom in my head. And I know that sounds probably crazy to anyone that's never gone through this, but I have to imagine that there's like this courtroom and I have to put her on trial and say, okay, I know you're saying this, but here's the reasons that that's not true. So now that I can critically think and I've learned more how to do that, I can say, hey, now I know that what you're saying is BS. Now I know that what you're saying isn't absolute truth. It's not accurate. So I have more ability in strengthening those critical thinking skills to even use that internally to be able to move forward. So I do want to wrap up with solutions like that, with solutions for how we can be really moving in the direction of optimal mental wellness. So I was mentioning my paper. My paper talks about lifestyle changes. So people don't realize that the things that we are eating, how active we are, the activities that we're engaging in, how much time we're spending on our phones, those things are all affecting our mental wellness. And I think it's really important that we're educating people on that. But what do you think is that step in the right direction for optimal mental wellness, Amanda?
I think maybe talking to someone that you think is close, like me talking to my mom.
Yeah. Donna, what do you think is a step in the right direction toward optimal mental wellness?
Hold on, give me a second. I was chewing a grape.
Well, that is healthy food, so that is moving you in the right direction. Good job getting those nutrients in this morning.
So you're saying that like how
So when you're in that dark place, what do you think is a good first step? So you were talking about, picking up your room, looking in the mirror, doing your hair.
Yeah, added to that, exercise.
Exercise.
That made me feel like alive. Like,
Yes.
I felt stronger. I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Legally Blonde, so just a reminder, exercise releases endorphins. Endorphins make people happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands.
Yep. Happy people. No, it actually does it
does.
boost your
There's so many benefits to exercise. There is the endorphins. Elle Woods is right. There is the endorphins aspect, but it improves your self-esteem. It's boosting your energy and stuff. And I don't think that it's just exercises and we're going to go to the gym and do this whole hour-long circuit. Take a walk. Do a yoga video on YouTube. punch a pillow.
Climb a mountain. That really
yes,
helps.
I mean, you could go all out and climb a mountain. I just
Yeah.
climbed Camelback with my
Me
son a few weeks ago.
too.
Yeah. And it felt so amazing to have that sense of accomplishment afterwards, you know? And that's
Yeah.
another thing that helps with your mental health because you have
Like,
that.
I did this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
overcame
yeah.
it.
I did
Jinx.
this.
Owen, what do you think is a step in the right direction?
Mental health is such a like a very it's such a like a I feel like it's very complicated.
Very complex.
It's a very complicated thing, and
Broad.
it's very broad as well.
Broad
Yeah, you
topic, yeah.
described it very perfectly. Well, huh. Well, I think I really like your paper about how the lifestyle plays more of a factor. Um, I know like I know the gym did a lot for me. I think it's just not really as much as I like enjoyed it, but having a sense of like, okay,
No, you absolutely don't enjoy it while you're there. You're going, oh my God, why am I here? Why am I doing this to myself?
but after a couple months of just after a couple weeks of just like forcing yourself, like you kind of get into the groove of it, and then you're just like, wow, like I feel really good about myself. And
And you didn't kill your husband, right?
yeah,
See?
that was yeah.
The true benefit.
No husband killing needed. Um, yeah, but no, uh, but letting that like depression just like take over, and letting those like demons like sort of uh to say take over are it's it's ruthless.
Yeah.
Like how that can affect you.
I'm a firm believer that we have to learn to work with our shadow or demons, whatever you want to call them. We have to learn to work with them, yes. Because if we don't and we allow them, if we try to silence them, they're gonna get louder. But if we give in to them, then we're gonna give in to all kinds of destructive behavior and addiction and avoidance behavior and all these things. So I think it's very important to learn how to work with them. And if I had to give one call to action to anyone listening to this, it is share your story, whether it's talking about how you're feeling with a friend, with a therapist, with a community. I built an entire YouTube channel around just giving people a place to come. And I always say good, bad, and crazy, just share where you're at in your story, because that's how we start shattering the stigma. That's how we start shifting the culture. So no matter who you're sharing with today, whether it's on the YouTube community, it's Mental Amanda, by the way, shameless plug, whether it's on a community, whether it's on your Facebook, and just saying, hey, I'm really struggling with this right now. Can anybody just give me some insight? And that's the important part about doing that is once you say, hey, I'm struggling, all these people are going to come out of the woodwork saying, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only person and I didn't have anyone to talk to. And it's so empowering. So make sure that you're sharing your story. You're helping shatter that stigma. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. Be good people.
Peace.